Welcome, Coyote fans. This is Paul Ferris. This is a rather unique video. I'm on my way to my niece's wedding. The Coyote swap cars in that wedding. And long and short of it is that I crammed months worth of changes into 3 days. I usually do my work in my spare time, and literally just night and day have been working to get this car ready. And part of it, you know, I thought most of the stuff I was doing would be cosmetic, and so I really wouldn't have to worry about the reliability of the car. It's been pretty good for me the past 3 years. All of the wounds have been self-inflicted. Bad choices on my part, stuff like bad connectors or whatever. But anyways, so I'm on my way to my niece's, and I'm a little bit behind time, and I decide, you know, it's all right. I'm going to get going anyway. I'm driving along the freeway, motor cuts out, and I had noticed when I started the trip that my water gauge wasn't working. My, you know, water temperature gauge, which is kind of an odd thing. It was working fine before I had the cosmetic work done to it. Here's what it looks like now. It's real pretty work done by a painter friend of mine. He did it in a rush. It's not his best work. He says he's going to redo it this winter, but I needed it for the wedding, and he got it done in no time, and it looks pretty nice. But I got the work back from him. I reinstalled my gauges, didn't think anything of it. Everything looked fine and kosher. Pulled it out of the driveway, went to go on my trip, and I noticed, hey, I don't have any gauges. That's right, I didn't hook the connectors up because I put weather pack connectors in there. So I pulled my dashboard apart real quick. I reconnected the gauges back up, and that's when I noticed the diff and the trans gauges are reporting high temperature. It's odd. And the water gauge is reporting nothing, which is even stranger still. So I get on my trip. I'm about 100 miles into the trip. The engine cuts out on me on the freeway. I've had that happen before. It's usually a ground issue or a bad connector. So I went over all the usual suspects. Nothing's showing up. But all of a sudden, while I'm trying to debug it, I notice I can start the engine. So I think, okay, it's all good. But wait a minute, I got no gauges. Next clue. That's odd. Take the parking brake off, the engine dies. And then I remember my fuel pressure is rigged so that if I don't have any oil pressure, I don't have any fuel pressure. So that saved the motor from having like an oil pan leak and getting destroyed. So I don't have any gauge power. That's the real problem. And then it hits me. I bet I have a short in my gauge cluster because I reassembled it. That's the last thing I touched there. Sure as shit, pardon my French, sure as heck, I had not been careful with the tabs to secure the gauges, and one of them was touching the sender for the water pressure gauge. And of course, that sender is going to leak power into the system. It's going to consume way more power because it's grounded, and that made the fuse pop. And once the fuse popped, I didn't have a host of things. I noticed even my speedometer wasn't working right. And the reason the speedometer wasn't working right is because I have a different gear ratio than this car came with, and I'm using the that there's a thing you could buy that just basically translates gear ratios, and that way your speedometer reads correctly. And I'm like, shoot. So I didn't have that. I didn't have gauges, and worst of all, the only way I could get to an exit was to put on my emergency brake, just light as possible, and get to a place where I could buy some fuses. So yeah, it's an LS motor. Yes, great technology, buddy. I hear GM is going to come out with a sleeve valve motor next. anyways, long and short of it is, when you build a Frankenstein, only Frankenstein's doctor can fix it. And I thought quickly on my feet. I was just lucky I figured it out that it was something that simple. Anyways, hope you're enjoying the ride. There'll be some more video of this car because a lot of cosmetic changes this round, and it's just beautiful. I got a Cobra R hood and a Rouge front fascia, and of course yellow seats, as you can see, and a bunch of LED madness. I'm going to try and convert every light in the car to LEDs, so we'll have some video about that. I didn't really film much except stop motion. I might have some pretty funny stop motion video of me assembling it. A lot of plumbers crack trying to get this stuff together because of wearing some old jeans and they just kept riding down my butt. So I may not post that video. It'd be kind of comical, but I just don't want to do it. I have my GoPro running in frame every 2 seconds mode, and got a lot of video of me putting the car together. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, tell your Coyote friends, and thanks for listening.